Hey guys, and welcome to this casual style kind of video. So today is Library Loves Day, the Saturday the 12th of October, and we are just going to our library to support our libraries. I went to my library yesterday just because it's a weekend today and I did all of the things, so let's talk about what I did, and then I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about libraries in general. So to start off with, I go to my library quite frequently since I've moved here. It's my main source of getting books because I don't really have that many books of my own. Now that I'm here on exchange, I only packed like 10 in a suitcase, and although I've gotten a few more as review copies, the library is still my biggest resource of how I get books. And yeah, I just keep going back for more. I always have a list of books that I intend to get out, and then I just browse and end up getting way more than one. I've totally maxed out on my loans. I've got 10 out now. And I wanted to tell you about the one I got out yesterday, which is one of the challenges for the library day, and I got Saga Volume 2. I read Saga Volume 1 from the library this month and I really loved it, like so much. I didn't expect to love it so much, but I really did. So I just went right ahead and got Volume 2 out. Another thing that we had to do was encourage a friend to use a library, and although I didn't do this yesterday, I did do this recently. I went with my friend, okay, recently as in last month, I went with my friend to the library and we did a great thing where they chose a book for me to borrow and I chose a book for them to borrow, which was just a lot of fun because when it comes to buying books, I don't feel like I have the freedom to do that, to recommend my friend buy a book and I buy one, because that's just expensive, and if we don't end up liking the book, it's always a bit of a downer. But I recommended them The Raven Boys and they recommended me The Vegetarian, which was how we did that exchange. And if you want to hear my thoughts on The Vegetarian, check out my wrap up for the month of September. I'll link it up there. And then another one of the prompts was to read a library book, and I'm going to do that today. I'm going to be reading more of The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I'm halfway through and I'm buddy reading this with someone on Twitter. I feel okay about it. So the main thing is that it's reading like every other fantasy novel, and this is a problem I've had with fantasy lately, is that I feel like all the tropes just kind of follow the same pattern and it's so hard to be unique in fantasy. I'm reading this and I'm able to guess everything that's pretty much going to happen. And then as we read along, I'm totally correct. The things that I'm expecting to happen are happening, and it's not mind-blowing me. And I find it so hard to find very unique, very mind-blowing fantasy that has things happening that I don't expect. So leave comments down below for fantasy books that you find unpredictable and frankly amazing, because I need more of those. I'm kind of going off the fantasy genre lately. So I'm reading this one from the library and I'll be reading some more today. I don't think I'm going to finish it because I've still got like, I don't know, a good 200 pages left, so that's not going to be finished, but just hop on and tell my thoughts at the end of the day. So I wanted to talk to you about libraries, and I wanted to share a bit of my library kind of journey with you guys, and it starts from primary school when I went to my primary school library. And I used to spend a lot of time at primary school because my mum was a primary school teacher, which meant we had to be there early in the morning and we had to be there for longer after school, like 1 or 2 hours. In the beginning, I remember spending those hours in my mum's classroom, and then I started to go more and more to the library because I absolutely loved it. I was an avid reader since forever and I just flourished in the library. I read all the books. I was very good friends with the librarian. She kind of took a liking to me and we still email back and forth book recommendations. She used to say like, oh, read this, and I'd come back in a week or two and I'd read it and we could discuss it, and it was just so much fun reading all the books. I used to read non-fiction, I used to read fiction, anything I could get my little hands on, I would read happily. Then I grew up and I went to my secondary school library, and it was like, wow, there's a whole new world open to me because there were a lot more adult fiction books and a lot more classics, and in the primary school library they just weren't present because they weren't recommended to younger readers, and that just makes perfect sense to me. But it was like a whole new batch of books and I was so shook, and I was reading everything that I possibly could. I read my first classic, which was Jane Eyre. I fell in love with Twilight. I read just all the books all the time. It was great because those were my main libraries as I was living in the Netherlands, and other libraries in the Netherlands did not have such a big English book collection. But then I went to university and I fell completely out of love with my university library there. The university library just made me feel like it wasn't about the books. So because it's one of the only, not one of the only, but it's one of the largest study spaces on Warwick campus, there's a lot of computers, there's a lot of spaces where you can study and work, and then the bookcases are kind of like interspersed with the computers and such. So I just felt very uncomfortable browsing for books when I could see people studying around me. I just felt like that's not the main purpose from the library. I felt like the main purpose wasn't actually going to find books. I felt like the main purpose was going to study, and the books were kind of in the loud spaces more often than not. And I just felt very uncomfortable, and even though I do an English literature degree with creative writing, I managed to go to the library a total of 2 times, one time to pick up something and one time to work on a group project, not to go borrow and read books. I think I've only ever borrowed 1 or 2 physical books from that library, and I just never went back. So that library totally put me off libraries. I wasn't feeling comfortable. I didn't think about going to find a library that wasn't a university library. But then I came to Australia and I told myself I need to start using my library because I'm only going to be able to bring like 10 or something books with me, and I want to read books while I'm here still, so obviously I need to join the library. I joined the university library and I joined the library, and they were fantastic. Pretty much they have so many different types of books. They've got graphic novels, as you've seen with Saga, they've got poetry, they've got non-fiction, they've got fiction, they've got so much, adult and young adult, and I was surprised that they had new releases come in pretty often and pretty fast, even obscure new releases that most people don't know about, because I tend to read a lot of random books. I want to say random, but I read a lot of genres and I read a lot of books that aren't the hyped main books, but I enjoy reading those too, and they have them as well, so I was very, very impressed. So I'm really enjoying using these 2 libraries. One of them is a library which is a study library and it's more quiet, but they do have bookish places, and the bookcases are kind of like the front and foremost. There's some rooms where it's just books, so you can just browse and not feel like you're imposing on anybody's study space. There's some which is a mixture of both, and there's some which are just study spaces, which I think is great, because if you're someone who likes to work with books around, you can, and if you're someone who's going primarily for the books, you can also do that. There's also a lovely cafe downstairs and it looks really modern and nice. And then the other library is like a loud library. There's a TV with a gaming console, so you can go and play games if you want, and then there's loads of sofas for sitting and chilling. There's a book club there hosted every week, and of course there's all those book options. I actually did go to the library, so I'll cut in a video of it. Library early in the morning just at opening time because I was a bit nervous to film with a lot of people around, and I felt like someone was going to ask me like, what on earth are you doing? So I decided to go really early when nobody was there, and yeah, I just took a couple of clips, very short, but I feel like that library just is the one for me. I feel very comfortable there. I go there to work and study, and I'm not somebody who goes to a cafe, gets a coffee and sits down and studies in a public space. I'm always very aware and anxious about other people around me. So I feel like if I go and have a coffee and study somewhere, or if I go and have a coffee and read somewhere, like I feel like I need to get out of the shop as soon as possible, or someone's going to tell me to move. And I know that's not the case, but it's in my head all the time. So going to this library, it's just been like a nice safe space, I guess, where I can just study endlessly, and yeah, I really, really like it. And when I see all these news about libraries closing down, it just makes me so sad, because it's a free space to get books and access them, and it's like, oh, there it goes, you know, a place that I know that if I went there I would probably feel comfortable in reading and such. So when I go back to the UK, I'm going to try and find a library again, not my library that is the university library, but a different library that I can join, because I really like what I'm doing, where I'm reading loads of books, and if I rate it less than 3 stars, I know I'm not going to buy myself a copy, but if I rate it 4, 5 stars and occasionally a 3 stars, that's a good 3 stars, I might end up buying that book for myself. And I really like that kind of method, because if you watch my video on I counted my books, which I'll link up there, you'll know that I counted my books and I found out that I have quite a lot of books, and I unhauled quite a lot of books, and the fact that I was unhauling a lot of the books that I was buying just goes to show me that there's a discrepancy there that needs to be fixed. And I feel like what could help me fix that discrepancy is definitely the libraries. And libraries are more and more often getting ebook and audiobooks as well, so you can do the online option, and I have done that. I've used some of their ebook systems, which are great, and the audiobooks also just work really well for me, because at least the library that I'm at right now, sometimes they get audiobooks and ebooks or new books before they get the physical copy, which means that you can just access them faster. I'm not really an audiobook listener, like I do listen to the occasional one, but it takes me literally forever because I only listen to audiobooks when I walk to and from uni, which is like 20 minutes only. And not even every day, like 3 days a week, so I don't take advantage of their audiobooks so much, but I definitely do take advantage of their ebook system. I just wish that more ebooks were Mobi versions, because mostly on this in this library they have EPUB versions, which means I can't access them on my Kindle, so I have to read on my laptop, which I don't mind doing. I know other people do, so it'd be nice if there was some Mobi copies. Do I have anything more to say? I think that's all I have to say about libraries, but I'm very interested, sorry that this has been such a chill video, but I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts on libraries. I'm going to give the space over to future Olivia to talk a little bit more about the Poppy War and what she read today. Hey guys, so reading didn't quite go as planned, and instead I'm going to tell you about some of the graphic novels I read instead. So one of the first ones was Umbrella Academy, and this is volume 1. I read it and I didn't really like it. I was mostly confused throughout reading it, and I think the reason why I was confused is because nothing was very clear. I haven't watched the TV show, and I think it's a graphic novel that is going to be a lot of a better experience if you've watched the TV series first. Then I read Nimona, and that was frankly wonderful. Why would you not read this? If you like villains and shapeshifters, you're going to love this one. There's also heroes in it, but you know, the main perspective is the villains and the shapeshifters. Basically, it's talking about good and bad, and basically a whole bunch of grey area, enough to make your head spin, and it is fantastic. Then we have Paper Girls Volume 5. I've been feeling quite mixed about the series, and I feel exactly the same way about this volume. It was enjoyable to read, but at the same time it's still not the best graphic novel series I've ever read. I just keep reading them because sometimes I'm trash like that. I just want something that's quick to read, and I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. And last but not least, I read Monstrous Volume 3, which I literally just finished now, and oh my goodness guys, this was so good. I can't deal. This series is so good and I'm really loving it. So that is it for this video. Please let me know in the comment section down below, do you use your library? And if you don't use your library, what is something that would give you incentive to use your library more? I would be very interested in hearing how libraries can improve and be more approachable to other people. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.